Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. We're heading overseas to King Abdulaziz Racecourse in Riyadh for the Saudi Cup preview. In this particular video, we're going to cover some of the Derby Trail graduates from last year as they battle it out with the older crop of the stud horses from the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then we'll have some Japan horses and some local Saudi horses in attendance as well. So you got White Barrio, National Treasure, Saudi Crown, Dermasoda Gake. We're going to cover them all. Field of 14, and the also eligible has drawn in. So we're going to cover all of them. So remember to check out my 2024 Kentucky Derby preview or trail list. All the this weekend's stakes races, the Rebel and so forth, Honeybee, Razorback at Oaklawn Park. Those are all out. I'm going to drop this preview into my 2024 Thoroughbred Racing pod playlist, so to speak. So in order to be up to date on all that content, just set that notification bell. Finally, please sub to the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that like. I guess our comments are simple for this week. Who do you like to win? Are you sticking with the favorite White Barrio, or are there other horses? I'll give you a couple that might be of interest. So we will get into that shortly. Let's take a look at the field. Okay, it is important to note some race conditions. This is a 1.125 mile race, but it is only a one turn because they used a long chute going straight and then the big one turn and down straight away to the finish. I'll post a map of it to give you kind of an idea on how it works. Also, medication restrictions, Lasix and Bute will not be allowed for the contenders. I didn't really fully look. I think it might be just within 24 hours of race day, something along that lines. I didn't check for sure, but just Google it. So, coming out of that chute, it is a really long opening sprint to the first turn. I forget 800,000 meters or so. It's at least a half mile. Early speed will be shown. It's just straight across, 14 stalls. So the big focus on I guess a focus would be the adjust travel for some of these horses, adjusting maybe some of the medication changes in that sense of the word. So we're going to start. I'm going to go by post positions. They did kind of like a pill pool draw. So the program numbers and the post position numbers are different. I'm just going to go by post positions. And then when we get to the end, I will just give you the horses' numbers as far as what their program numbers are. So, post position 1 is our 3-1 favorite, last year's Breeders' Club Classic hero, White Barrio. That's Rick Dutrow. He has really blossomed since he's taken over as trainer. Irad Ortiz is going to try to make it the clean sweep of the Classic Saudi Cup double up there. So back-to-back career races for him. Dominant performance in the Whitney where he blew everybody out down the stretch. And then, of course, the epic dual stretch battles that he put away both Saudi Crown and Arabian Night in the Classic. So I wonder if he'll handle. He really looks like he's blossomed into a horse that can handle any type of race. So the one turn I don't think bothers me. He's shown early enough speed to be well within striking distance, and Dutrow says he's got his horse primed and ready to roll. I looked at a couple of Twitter videos. He looks pretty comfortable over there. He didn't know how the jet lag he would handle it because most horses get overseas, like traveling all those time zones, and then they get over there and they're fine at first, but then come race day, that jet lag sets in. So hopefully that doesn't happen to him. But he looks pretty good right now, so I'm going to go with he's fine. Another one that we don't know about is post position 13. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go exactly in order. I apologize, I wasn't clear. But if you've watched my preview videos, I'll lump horses in that ran in the same races. That way I can cover them and I don't have to keep replaying the same race over and over again. So we're covering the Breeders' Cup Classic, which out of post position 13, 6-1 Dermisota Gake was in it. He had a really big race, came up just second to White Barrio. Late rally, I think, should give him a chance to score here. Japan scored the huge victory last year with Panthalassa. I do believe that's correct pronunciation. He also raced pretty well, respectable sixth in the Kentucky Derby. He brushed the gate and got off really slow in that race. But unfortunately for him, he suffered an eye injury in travel over the flight from Japan. And I'm not really sure what he also has post 13 in a field of 14. So I'm not really sure. The connection said he had the little plate on the side of the reins by the eye was broken. And but he said they look pretty good. So they're going to go ahead and go. But I would keep a close eye on him Saturday for either a scratch or maybe even some value as the race approaches, as word of the injury spreads around. So beware of the injured horse, right? All right, post position number 11 is 8-1 fellow Japan bred Ushpa Tesoro, the 7-year-old, ran in the BC Classic as well. He was in the mix most of the way, but kind of hung out in the stretch to finish fifth, but still pretty good. He had 6 straight wins from the end of 2022 into 2023, culminating with that big win in the Dubai World Cup. And then he followed that up with a Nippon TV back in September. So bounced back off that fifth place to win the Tokyo Daishoten in his most recent. Showed a fantastic late rally to get up at the wire there. So definitely a contender. Now we're over at post position number 2, Isolate, 20-1, winner of the 2024 Al Maktoum Mile. Won back-to-back races at this race course, Medan, or at Medan, not this race course, this different course. Sorry. He's a tested horse with excellent race history, but I don't think much of a contender here. But 2 years ago, that 80-1 Bomb Emblem Road won. So, it would be probably an equal upset. Number 3, post position 3, Lemon Pop, sired by Lemon Drop Kid, who was one of my favorites back in 1999. He unfortunately didn't come through for me in the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, but did pull off the Belmont Stakes. He is also back-to-back wins, most recent Grade 1 Champions Cup at Chukyo in Japan. He is actually a 5-1 second choice morning lines. The Japan connections have expressed some issues that he may have with the stamina going up against this group of stars, the early speeds such as Saudi Crown, Saudi Crown and National Treasure and so forth. So we'll see how he goes. Post position number 6 is 33-1 Crown Pride. Japan bred also finished 11th in the Champions Cup. That was won by Lemon Pop. Super long shot there. So not much interest. Post position 4 is 14-1 Senor Buscador, a horse I'm really, really starting to like. Big closer, finished second behind National Treasure in the Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream. And just coming down the stretch, he likes to gobble it up late. And he really had his sights set on National Treasure, but just kind of ran out of real estate at the end, lost by, I guess, about a half length. A horse that I am fond of, like I said, a real gamer. He will have his work cut out for him. But if that pace sets up as a hotly contested one, he may be able to come out of the shadows and at least grab a slice of, the $10 million top prize. 3.5 million goes to second place. So that's even more than the Kentucky Derby winner gets. So nothing wrong with cashing a check in this race for sure. Post position 7 is the 8-1 winner of said Pegasus, National Treasure. That's Bob Baffert, trained. So people say what they want about Bob Baffert and his use of medications. We don't know if that's going to have any effect on this horse here. He's had some success. He hasn't won this race, but he's had some second place close calls with some horses that he's had in the past. He should be got out on the lead, obviously, per his usual style. just the one turn. This is kind of interesting race. He could really get out there and hammer time it. So he is. I think he'll be in the mix down the stretch, and he hits the board. In my opinion, he's going to hold on to at least second or third if he gets beat. So we know what he can do, and we will be sure. And he just won at 9 furlongs, going 2 turns at Gulfstream. So I think he gets this distance. So I don't know about the turnaround though, because the Pegasus was a little bit closer than say what Saudi Cup did in the Louisiana Stakes. But anyway, we're going to go to post position 8, 40-1 Hoist the Gold. Also in that race, he's got some early speed. Did win a big race recently, but was unable to keep up in the Pegasus after setting the pace early on. I believe he's going to be a cut below the top contenders here, but he is a likable horse. So I will have a rooting interest for him to do well, but he's not going to be on any of my betting tickets. Post position 5, 14-1 Saudi Crown. Brad Cox, trained son of Always Dreaming, did have an invite to that Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup Invitational, but chose the slightly weaker field and a week earlier race to give him more time. And it was a really excellent, dominant performance in the Grade 3 Louisiana Stakes, where he just got out, set the pace, and cruised home to victory. So this race, I think he'll try to do much the same. His early speed should enable him to get out to the lead. And if he's either going to do one of two things, dictate the pace and have a shot to win it, or that would be in his favor, obviously, or get caught up in a speed duel with National Treasure, which would not be good for him. He obviously did not handle the hotly contested classic distance at the Breeders' Cup Classic. So this race will be a completely different animal. The fast opening half mile, but then I noticed the tendency to the next half mile or so, they kind of settle in a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see if they run, a one. I think last year it was like a 119 3/4, but we'll see what happens. Post position 9, 25-1, 6-year-old veteran Defunded, sired by Dial In. This horse has a roller coaster career, pretty much, multiple Grade 1 wins. Really hasn't had that signature victory, but has had his best season in 2023. California is the place he wants to be, so that's where most of his wins have taken place, in the Golden State. He was unable to slow down Andy, so to speak, in the Awesome Again Stakes at Santa Anita. Shout out, slow down Andy, that I think had to be retired recently, leg injury or some sort of thing, I think I read. But hell of a good horse, was really starting to blossom. Slow down Andy, retired. The Awesome Again Stakes, he couldn't catch Slow Down Andy at Santa Anita on a wet, fast track. I think he's probably in over his head here, but we'll have to see. Post position number 10, 50-1, Power in Numbers. Horse for course, so to speak, as he's got 4 straight wins and a second in 5 starts since making the move over to the desert. And it would be a monster upset, I think, to see this one in the winner's circle. I don't think he's much of a contender. Post position 14, 25-1, Carmel Road. Number 1 in your program. 4-year-old sired by Quality Road. Has a win on this track in the King Faisal Cup on January 13th. And he was actually in 2022 on the Kentucky Derby Trail briefly. Back in 21, ran a distant second to Practical Move in the Los Alamitos Futurity. And then in 2023, in the first leg of the Triple Crown Trail, he ran 8th in the Gotham Stakes in a sloggy, wet track. And then he was taken out of the picture and purchased by King Abdulaziz Sons, KAS. Those connections for Saudi Arabian, $260K. He traded Barbs actually when he got his most recent couple of races. Traded Barbs with our next contender, who was the also eligible, going second and then first with Scotland Yard. Saudi's top rider, Camilo Ospina, will ride Carmel Road, so that'll probably boost his opportunities. And we'll finish it with post position and 40-1, Scotland Yard. drawed in, ran second to Power in Number in the Holy Mosques Cup. Hasn't done much since he had a 3-race winning streak over a year ago. Another long shot that was surprised versus this group. If you were to rank these horses, I don't think he cracks the top 10. So that is your preview of the contenders in this race. Definitely a tough one to handicap. I was able to find some free past performances, but we're not going to go over those because I don't think they have enough information in my book, but they are a good source of information. I'll post the link to them in the description, so check that out. And so basically, conventional thinking is the United States has the better dirt racing, the better dirt horses, and overseas has the stronger turf company. So what we need to think about in this race is several different pace scenarios that could play out, and choosing one, sticking with it. Kind of similar to an NFL game. If you ever play daily fantasy sports like Showdown and stuff like that, you're trying to predict a game script. Do you think it's going to be a shootout, fast pace? Do you think it's going to be a defensive battle, maybe a slow pace? Somebody gets out and sets a slower pace, and then it's a battle down the stretch. So I think a shootout would favor a horse. It looks more like a shootout to me, a more hotly contested with the 2 speed horses, and including Lemon Pop, Saudi Crown, National Treasure, all those vying to be up front. I feel like it's going to be a pretty fast pace. That would set up a horse like Senor Buscador to mount a closing charge. So, like I said, I think those front runners, Saudi Crown, National Treasure, a close second, similar to the way he won Pegasus. I think that maybe National Treasure will sit off and let Saudi Crown go ahead and out front, like he did with Hoist the Gold there, which would sounds like sound strategy to me anyway. But White Barrios, I think, is going to be up lurking closely, stalking that pace. And I think as they round that turn to hit the straightaway for home, he's going to be making his bid. Saudi Crown, I think, may fade along with Carmel Road, who will be up there as well. I did not mention Carmel Road in the first pace scenario, but I think he'll be wanting to get the lead as well or close to it. And then I think National Treasure will take that lead. And then whether or not White Barrio closing will run him down or not, I think White Barrio can. It will depend on the fractions and how much horse National Treasure has left. It's going to be an interesting stretch duel. I think those two are your top 2 choices, in my opinion. But if National Treasure runs out of gas, horses like Derma Sotogake, Ushba Tesoro, and Senior Buscador could all be in the mix. So if we give the win to White Barrio, and then you got National Treasure either hanging on for second or third, Senor Buscador maybe coming along late, take second place possibly, or one of those 2 Japan horses I mentioned. That's kind of how I see it. It's going to be a really, really fun race to watch. I believe post time somewhere around 8:40 Eastern time, Saturday night. Best of luck to everybody. Check out all the preview videos. I appreciate all the support. It's a race to 2,000 subscribers. I'd like to hit that sometime in the Triple Crown Trail. I know you guys can help me get there, so appreciate it. As always, till next time, see you soon.